Well, Miami has earned a new title, and it is quite the scandalous one. The Magic City has been crowned the OnlyFans capital of the country.
Wow. Round of applause for that, guys. We're really changing the world out here. Miami is everything wrong with society. Let's go.
Miami, the Magic City, is a modern American dystopia.
What is this? What is supposed to be the Dubai of America? Now, when I think Miami, right, I think we can go up, up, up. We can go local. I'm thinking of LARPing. I'm thinking of crypto. I'm thinking of billionaires. I'm thinking of yacht parties. I'm thinking of BBLs. I'm thinking of veneers. I'm thinking of Sophie Rain. That's really it when I think of Miami. I think of GTA 6.
It is the city which perfectly parodies America as a whole. It's where the country's billionaires have decided to live next door to each other. Jeff Bezos bought this $100 million home on Indian Creek Island, then bought his neighbor's mansion right next door. This ultra-exclusive billionaire bunker contains a 300-acre man-made island with its own private golf course.
Man-made? How do you have a man-made island? They just be doing shit for no reason. How does this better society? It doesn't. What, they just like had them dig out the land or something? How do you have a man-made island? That don't even make sense.
It looks like something straight from Dubai. Across the street is Mark Zuckerberg's residence.
Wow.
Then you have Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump owning property there,
Wow.
along with Howard Schultz, Sergey Brin, and Larry Page. You might even bump into Peter Thiel down at the local Equinox, where you can just
What?
casually go past one of his many houses.
Indian Creek in Miami is called Billionaire Bunker.
Big businesses are moving here from all over the world. The financial center is packed with companies like Citadel, Nvidia, Uber, Microsoft, and Palantir, which even recently moved its HQ to Miami. This is what the Miami Beach mayor has to say about the city's meteoric rise.
This is going to be the next finance hub of America.
Forget New York and LA, Miami has become the city everyone aspires to break into, spawning a whole new generation of OnlyFans.
Yeah, I was getting that vibe. I've heard a lot of creators say that like Miami now in 2026 is kind of how LA used to be back like 2014 to like 2017 LA, like especially like pre-2020 LA. And it's true, you could probably like walk down Brickell IRL stream and you never know who you're gonna run into. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, it is very soulless.
Crypto bros and anyone else clinging to the idea of who they want to be. On the surface, the city works. We visited, and the first version we found is the side you see on TikTok. Huge modern mansions, yachts, and massive boats parked outside in the harbor. You could even see Indian Creek from a distance, but could never get near it. There are patrol boats everywhere and a fortified gated entrance. But we also found a completely different side to Miami that isn't in the reels and podcasts, but not in the obvious way like Las Vegas or Los Angeles. Miami sells itself as the real deal, with real money, real businesses, and a real vision of the future. And for a moment, you're convinced. The whole city is essentially a stage set arranged to look like a paradise. Drained, filled in, paved over, planted and replanted. All by a series of developers over the years, all of whom saw immense potential in a humid, mosquito-infested strip of swamp that nobody wanted to live in. The palm trees that line every boulevard aren't native to South Florida.
I'm not gonna lie. Have you ever been to Miami in December? Heaven. I'm gonna be honest with you. The weather is beautiful all year round. The worst thing you gotta deal with in Miami, I feel like, is a hurricane. I'm pretty sure people didn't mind living in Florida, bro.
Plastic royal palms were imported from Cuba. The coconut palms came from the South Pacific by way of the Caribbean. Even the sand on Miami Beach itself gets trucked in every few hours because the real beach keeps washing away.
What?
So this is
okay, I didn't know that. What? So the sand is fake?
Came from the South Pacific by way of the Caribbean. Even the sand on Miami Beach itself gets trucked in every few hours because the real beach keeps washing away.
How does it wash away?
This is a place built on appearances, so it's not really a surprise then that it's the global capital of an economy that runs on them. Take this guy we met in Brickell, wearing camera sunglasses and making content by hitting on girls.
Oh, he's one of those guys. He's one of the creepy meta glasses influencers. Oh no. Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of the pickup dating guys. This is like this really is like the stomping ground for a lot of shit. Like this is where all of like the red pill and like all the pickup guys would be at to go pick up women. And then this is also where all the OnlyFans women are. Oh wow, this is like a breeding ground for a lot of shit. It makes sense.
Hitting on girls with that, bro. Pretty much it. The glasses, slick it, forward. Been doing it for a while now, like 2 years now. I was on TikTok one day scrolling and I saw this guy doing it. I'm like, yo, you know what? I could do that too. So I just bought them one day, bro. I remember I uploaded one video and then boom, my life changed forever.
Sheesh.
He told us that Miami is his best market.
Best videos I've ever made was out here. Dude, I think I saw one girl, dude. Oh my God.
Out here?
Right there by that like little trailer. It was fake, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Dude, her ass was huge. I was like, yo, like, I walked up to her. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, yo, like, your ass is humongous. And I think, yeah. Dude,
Why do I feel like I know the girl that he's talking about? She was on like the Nelk shit.
she won the award for the biggest ass.
That is hardly surprising because Miami is ground zero for the looks-maxing movement. It was why Louis Theroux spent most of his time there
Yeah,
filming
that's where
his
like
latest...
Fresh and Fit, all these little podcasts are at. This is like the end game for every red pill, bro. Party on a yacht with a bunch of 18-year-old OnlyFans models. That's literally the end game. Oh, Miami, I don't know. This shit is cool. I would love to live in Miami. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think I could live in that part of Miami.
Documentary inside the manosphere. There's also people like Dr. Miami, the city's most famous plastic surgeon,
getting a
who
nose
built
job.
a massive platform live streaming Brazilian butt lifts from his clinic in a city that's
BBL
become
capital of the
BBL
world.
capital of the world.
Yeah.
On average, how many BBLs do you think you're doing?
A lot.
Like in a day or
Oh,
Hey,
no,
you got
no.
the
And it's not a
veneers?
factory. It's not like 15 a day. I would say 2 a day, maybe.
Yeah.
1 or 2 a day.
how many butts are out there in the world?
Of
Care
Dr. Miami.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands. Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Aside from all the
Thousands
BBLs,
and
when you're out in
thousands.
Miami at night, you notice another huge part of its
The
identity.
night, boy, that nightlife is really crazy. I'm telling you, that shit, hey, man. Popping ace of spades like it's water. This is where the ball, this is like a sweat lobby. You feel me? Like you could go to like, you know, any club in the country and you can have a little bit of bread you feel like demand. You come to Miami, you're going to get humbled quick. This is where the real baller shot callers be at.
The clubs.
Yeah,
Miami
movie trap.
nightlife isn't really a scene so much as the gravitational center the rest of the city
Oh
orbits
my
around.
God, this is so dystopian. We got people doing an NPC challenge randomly outside on the streets of Miami.
Most of the people you see at the airport end up at one of the club
Oh,
tables
isn't this where
within
Jack
the
Dorothy's windshield got cracked?
first weekend in town. We spoke to Sneaker, who resides in both Miami and New York, seeing how life really is in the center of Miami
Soulless.
and Brickell, and why everyone seems to be moving here.
Well, right now I have a gun on me. I can't do that in New York. Like everywhere I go, I'm strapped. The taxes are better.
Everywhere I go, I'm strapped. Man, you're not putting shit to use, boy.
And there's more. Everyone says that this is a new LA. It's just like there's a lot of motion here right now. You want to be where the action is if you're trying to grow.
Yeah.
But he also made the same observation everyone makes about Miami. You need a very deep wallet if you want to actively get involved in everything it has to offer.
Yup.
Most of the people in Brickell that live here are millionaires, or at least.
Multi-millionaires, gang. Yeah, and you're gonna have to go to these upscale club events, dinners, all type of shit. You gotta start networking and hanging around them. Can't get nowhere with no money on.
It's like close in terms of assets and in business. Yeah, I was in most of these people are millionaires, and when we were kids, being a millionaire sounded insane, right? But now it's just like pretty much almost everybody that I talk to around here that you see has $1 million, and it's crazy how normal it's become. I think 100K a month is was a benchmark.
When you talk to those running the
God.
nightlife, they tell you more about who's fueling the city's image. This is Nate, one of the top promoters in the city. He also moved to Miami from New York, and he's the go-to guy for crypto millionaires and hedge fund kids. who
See, I
spend
knew it. All the crypto guys be out there, bro. I know TJR be out there and shit. Oh my God. It's real deal money here. I think there's a lot of industries in Miami, bro.
6 figures a night just to sit at the
And
best
no state
table.
tax.
He estimates Miami contains, in his words,
In Miami, you have the smallest but largest concentration of wealth anywhere in the country, and most of it's new money. So new money doesn't act the same way as old money. Old money had to work their ass off to get to where they are. They had to do all sorts of things over years and years and years, generations, to get to where they are.
and
money
he puts his
quick.
finger on the exact culture Miami has built and how
Fast, super fast, probably. Super fast, super frivolous. Like, you know, you don't value it as much because you got it quickly. So you probably just spending it, think that shit is infinite. Man, I don't know, bro. That's just not me. I'm going to be honest with you. For me, the goal is to get enough money to just be able to never work again and just be normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would just live a regular life. Like, have probably the best thing I probably have is like a crib or like a real nice like a condo or some shit. And then I would dress the same, be the exact same. I just have money, you know? Like, I'd be thinking, how much money do I need to make in order to make a certain amount of passive income a month and just never had to work? I'd be thinking like that.
Benefits promoters like himself.
New money, they pretty much snapped their
course.
fingers and money appeared. It could be the course sellers. It could be the crypto guys who pumped a meme coin.
Wow.
It could be
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
you know,
the scammers. The scammers. You naming a bunch of fucking scammers.
guys who started OnlyFans management companies.
The whole nightlife economy is driven by a ritual
By the
that
way, none of that is actually beneficial to society at all.
Nate calls the parade. At a certain point in the night, there's a moment of suspense before the bottle girls march out from the back with sparklers and giant champagne magnums, while the entire club is forced to stop and stare at whichever table is doing the spending.
There's certain parades that only certain people who are big spenders at the club can get. So then when I have girls out and I have a guy who's got like that $100,000 tab and he gets the 7K, I forget what the package is called, but he gets the 7K parade, entire club gets shut down. Literally all eyes are on them. They shine all the lights on the thing.
The biggest single table he's ever seen hit $200,000 in a night. And the people spending it were a group of crypto kids who got lucky on a meme coin a week earlier.
Those crypto kids have no concept of money.
Man, you know who I'm thinking of? Y'all remember the kid Malone, the guy who hit the crypto scam? And he was just balling out every night, just spending hella money, bought Ferraris and mad cars, and was spending ace of spades and shit like that. That's what I'm thinking of, bro. Damn, that's the definition of money can't unlame you, boy. They got it. Hey, what's it called? The IRS gonna catch them.
Most of those guys, what they did was they bet on fart coin before fart coin went crazy. And they became, in literally a matter of like 5 days, became 100 millionaires.
That is the definition of neat money.
God, please. Why can't some shit like that happen to me, man? I'm not gonna lie. The only thing is, I would be hella scared of that because I feel like it would change me. I'm not even gonna sit here and act like I would. If I made $100 million quick, I would want to keep going. What? I think I would wild out a little bit. I don't blame them.
Making generational wealth from a fart coin because you were right on the Discord or Telegram server at the time.
Man.
Nate also completely agrees with Sneako's benchmark.
So if you don't have money like that, where $10,000 is not going to put a dent in your account, don't come to Miami. It's not worth it.
But the whole point is how this place has positioned itself to be aspirational, or as Sneako and so many others told us, the new Los Angeles. Or at least Los Angeles before that facade broke down and aspiring entertainers ended up on Skid Row. Miami doesn't have a Skid Row yet, but there's an army of younger people trying to fake it until they make it by renting supercars, running up debts, and pushing their lives into dangerous territory. And it's the same culture that's turned Miami into the OnlyFans capital of the
you do that so then people could buy into your course. Oh, you want to know how I became a millionaire and how I got this Rolls Royce behind me? Come on, bruh.
world, for both the creators and the subscribers. You see, Miami has more registered OnlyFans creators per capita than any other large American city, with roughly 1,110 accounts per 100,000 residents, compared to around 617 Las Vegas in second place.
Well, Miami has earned a new title, and it is quite the scandalous one. The Magic City has been crowned the OnlyFans capital of the country.
Well, a new study found that...
Wow. Round of applause for that, guys. We're really changing the world out here. We could have free health care and, you know, we could have all these doctors and lawyers and shit that benefit society, but we got more fucking OnlyFans models. How fucking great. Shit, hey, if you want to bop it up, I love the bops. Shit, bop it up. I love it. I'm here for it. You feel me? But that's just my opinion, bro.
Most
Shit,
models
like it,
on OnlyFans are right here in Miami.
Miami is also in the global top 5 for total money spent on the platform, with roughly $17 million flowing out of Miami subscriber accounts in 2025 alone.
Oh, nah.
Sophie Rain is based in Miami. Black
Of course
China
she is.
started her career as a stripper in Miami before transitioning onto the platform. Even people like Mia Khalifa got their career starts here. The Bop House is a mansion in Miami
Mia
where
Khalifa got her start in Miami? Boy, I thought she from PG County. Something ain't right here. The Bop House. You mean yo, I'm not gonna lie, bro. When I heard that story of what Agent said about the Bop House, that shit changed my whole perspective on this shit.
And creators lived together, producing content around the clock. They later upgraded to a $100,000 a month penthouse in Brickell dubbed the Gen Z Playboy Mansion. Well, this OnlyFans creator thinks it has a lot to do with the city's aesthetic.
So I think with the people in Miami already working in music videos, already working in commercials, in bikini shoots,
class
and
status
you know,
sign.
all these things that show off skin, I think it's not really hard to just go from one thing to another.
Sneako's friend Sonny Faz explained how this modern sex industry looks completely different from a few years ago.
I'm sorry, all these bitches are mid. Imagine draining your bank account to regular. These women look regular as hell. They're not even bad as fuck.
50% of the money is made through the chatting. Like, it's not through the $5
Yeah.
subscription like most people think. It's through guys trying to build an emotional relationship with the chick.
Yeah.
And like,
And guess what? You think you talking to her? No, you're talking to Rakesh from India. She want to hang with an Indian. She want to hang with an Indian.
literally, they think they're talking to her, and they're not. They're never talking to her.
Behind every successful girl on the platform, there are so often powerful unseen men taking a cut of the profits.
Some of the biggest people, like, they'll start dating a girl and then it'll just be bikini pictures and then they're now having steak free. Like, that's stuff.
This is what we found when we made our last video on OnlyFans. Sophie Rain claims to have grossed over $100 million on the platform. Yet, she didn't post explicit content for most of her.
She's lying, bro. She already got exposed by DJ Vlad. She's lying.
Career. One single subscriber, a man called Charlie, who she says has a wife and kids, has paid her around $7 million, mostly for messages.
Shout out to Charlie.
Shout out to Charlie.
But obviously, not everyone is a part of the super rich class and can afford to pay Miami's huge bills. In fact, almost everyone is in debt. Florida has one of the highest household to debt income ratios in the country. Auto loan defaults across South Florida have been climbing for years, especially on all the high-end leases.
Yeah, because they trying to... I feel like if you're gonna live in Miami, you can't just be on some normie shit. You have to have the fastest car. You have to have the nicest clothes. You gotta have the highest penthouse. That's the point of why you there. What's the point of living in Miami? You living in a fucking studio, and this shit is nasty as fuck and ugly as fuck. Huh? Bro, yeah, you go to Miami to LARP. You go to Miami to show, yo guys, I made it. I'm in Miami now. I live in a high rise.
As you see, so the Lamborghinis, the G-Wagons,
like the Miami high rise, when I think of it, it's kind of almost like, you remember how people would be like, I was broke, but I'm living in the hills now. You know how they live in the hills in LA? Now it's the high rise in Miami.
Range Rovers dotted around the streets. Even the wealthier residents are spending so far above what they bring in that they're effectively living one bad quarter away from the same edge as everyone else. Miami is what lifestyle inflation looks like at scale, and it's a warning sign of what's to come elsewhere. A city where the baseline has been skyrocketed unrealistically high to meet an unrealistic environment with unrealistic costs that can't be sustained. The gap gets papered over with credit, trust funds, and crypto bets. You live fast and run out of money young and hope to get a lucky break just before you plunge off the precipice.
Bro, what's like the end game for all these people? Because there's no way you stay in Miami long term. It doesn't seem sustainable.
Start noticing that everyone's flocking here for the opportunity, staying for the lifestyle, and somewhere along the way, the line between the two disappears. Blurring the lines has been the city's strong suit since the start. Go back to the late 70s and the Colombian cartels needed somewhere to put billions of dollars a year in physical cash. So Miami banks were eager to help. By the early 80s, the local Federal Reserve branch was sitting on a bigger cash surplus than any other branch in the country combined.
No way.
Because there was so much drug money flowing through the system. That last prediction is as valid now as it was then, as money was cleaned up.
But now it's from drug money, now it's OnlyFans money?
Poured into the condos and hotels, which formed the first generation of the skyline you see today. And it never really stopped. After the 2008 financial crisis, anonymous shell companies were buying Miami homes for over $100 million a week, mostly in cash with no names attached. When the Treasury finally stepped in and forced these companies to reveal who was behind them, the anonymous buying mysteriously dropped by 70% overnight. A lot of that was foreign money, South American oil executives laundering stolen cash, wealthy elites fleeing collapsing economies, crime families parking capital offshore.
Damn, this shit is really the new school Dubai. That's true. So it's like these places that are supposed to look like paradise. Turns out it's not anything. It's not that. It's not that at all, bro.
All Russians swerving sanctions and relocating from Europe or Dubai.
No way.
Last year, a 74-year-old Miami realtor pleaded guilty to selling and laundering luxury condos in the Bal Harbour and Aventura districts on behalf of 2 sanctioned Russian oligarchs. Miami's realtors and developers are often in the news for fraud and financial crime, with fraud felony rates amongst the highest in the US.
Police say Priscilla Marie Contreras, Yordani Carrias Diaz, and Dinocer Bravo are pretending to be realtors and homeowners.
Come back, 2 men are behind bars tonight. They're accused of running what the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office calls a sophisticated scheme defrauding a Miami Beach condo, its owners and board members.
Long before the drug years, Miami was where the rich from North America went to lose money on land. In the 1920s, a real estate bubble inflated by speculative developers selling underwater swampland to retirees collapsed so spectacularly that the entire state economy went into recession years before the rest of America followed into the Great Depression.
Wow.
Carl Fisher, the man who built Miami Beach, sold lots that didn't exist to investors who never visited.
What?
So the entire Florida land boom that followed was structurally a Ponzi scheme. And that reputation followed Miami until now.
So the shit was always a scam from the jump.
Savings and loan scandals in the 1980s, mostly in South Florida. The practice of aggressively selling worthless stocks to vulnerable people, also South Florida. The mortgage fraud of the 2000s, a good portion in Miami and Florida. And then, of course, Miami made itself the natural home for crypto, NFTs, meme coins, and
That's the
whatever
place
else,
for scams. So this is
because
Scam Central, bro.
people pushing them knew the local culture would eat it all up. Several of the most notorious illegal ICOs and crypto investment schemes have traced back to Miami.
Of course.
It's the same story in the city's biggest new luxury development. This was supposed to be the most luxurious apartment complex ever built, a 66-story tower called the Aston Martin Residences. Yes, that's an apartment block branded by the British luxury car maker. It's a billion-dollar project and the tallest all-residential tower on the East Coast. It was sold as coming with a private marina, a helipad, exclusive beach club access,
boy,
the full
what
works for Miami's
what are we
new money
doing?
club.
It's like some GTA shit. This really some like Minecraft creative mode shit.
The top penthouse alone sold for $59 million.
What?
By
Who's
the time
staying
the
there?
building opened in 2020,
I can guarantee you, it's nobody living in that shit. 59 million for a penthouse in there. You know how many homes you could buy in America for 59 million? Bro, rich people there. This is just straight money laundering. That should just sound like a scam. Why would you spend $59 million on a high-rise?
it was already 99% pre-sold. And of course, the promotional materials looked spectacular. But not long down the line, it became a gluttonous monument to Miami's fakeness. The issues with it are nearly endless. The helipad was never built. The beach club access hasn't come to fruition. The building, according to a lawsuit, is literally falling apart.
What?
Concrete is spalling off of the balconies and dropping onto the streets below. Then there's the steel reinforcement itself, and even the absolute basics like functioning elevators.
Now at 6, developers of
so this was just a way to finesse. This was never even supposed to be a thing that people were actually gonna live at.
downtown Miami's Aston Martin residences face their second lawsuit in 4 months.
Oh,
Residents
wow.
say they see concrete balconies crumbling, their seawall corroding, and claim it will cost millions to fix it. They blame the builder.
Basically, it's just turned out to be terrible, which is even more painful if you invested millions into the building. And this isn't just a case of negligence,
it looks
it's
good,
all
but
allegedly wrapped
how?
up in a sophisticated scam, or what the lawsuit calls an immense shell game, using a network of companies to siphon millions out of the building's finances. This is what happens when something's image falls.
Oh, this is one big money laundering operation, bro. So they never even cared about actually making the building. They just found a way to get money. Oh,
completely
shit.
out of sync with the substance underneath it. This has happened with almost every object that surrounds us.
It's all the
banana
facade.
Isn't a banana. Not really, it's just a copy of a banana that you've never even seen,
Yeah,
felt or
it's a
understood.
isn't it like it's a Cavendish banana. So it's not even real,
at all.
yeah.
Today, a photograph is rarely by definition a photograph, but rather a manipulated image that exists in near infinite degrees of authenticity. If you live somewhere like Miami, your life doesn't resemble the life of any of your ancestors. The substance and purpose behind it were copied into oblivion and literally don't exist anymore.
Of course, I just think Miami is like debauchery. I just think of degeneracy. Like, I think partying, I think going out, I think, you know, turning up, clubs, like fucking bitches.
Miami shows you what happens when an entire place becomes disconnected from reality. You start with a real genuine thing, in this case a muddy swamp with some promise. The railroad was extending itself down south, and it didn't take a genius to work out this tropical coastline was valuable. Then the constructed image began to distort what lies beneath it. At first it was pretty reasonable.
That shit looks crazy. Now there's all these high rises and these buildings. This shit look calm. I've been to Miami before though. I do fuck with the vibe of Miami. They got like nice shops and gyms and places like that, but damn, it's crazy to think it's like things are not what it seems, bro. I would have never guessed that. Well, no, I would have guessed it, but still.
The image began to distort what lies beneath it. At first, it was pretty reasonable, supply and demand economics driven by people who wanted to live in a warmer climate. But Miami by the 1980s had created a compelling exportable image with its neon lighting and colorful suits.
GTA San Andreas
had made its way around the world. A glamorous appearance began to take over a more complicated reality dominated by gangs and scammers. In this respect, Miami was precisely like Dubai, a place manifested into reality through the pure power of greed and human willpower. You end up with a simulation of a real place, with imported palm trees, sand, broken buildings that cost millions but are vapid, lacking substance and not underpinned by anything real or honest, where the people and population becomes fake, superficial and materialistic. The French philosopher Baudrillard called this the simulacra, which was inspired directly by America. The US makes the simulacrum inevitable as it has little ancient human history, or in Miami's case, zero history spanning back longer than about 75 years. That's plagued the city over time, and the local government knows it. Around 2020, the former mayor Francis Juarez tried to reboot the city's image. He launched a cryptocurrency called Miami Coin.
Oh my god. Oh, even the mayor is in on the scams, bro.
Lost 95% of its value almost immediately in what turned out to be a pretty absurd stunt for making the city look financially cleaner. He and the mayors kept using phrases like,
what is a Miami crypto coin gonna do? It's not gonna do shit for the spy.
Like business-friendly regulatory environment. What that means is, first off, Florida charges zero state income tax, so a $50 million earner moving down from New York saves around $5 million a year just on that line. Then there's the homestead exemption, which means once you buy a house and live in it, no creditor can ever touch it. This is why O.J. Simpson moved to Florida the moment he lost his civil case. There's no estate tax either, and amazing trust laws that let you lock up wealth for 360 years, and a state financial regulator that's known for turning a blind eye. On top of all of that, recent mayors added a fintech regulatory sandbox that lets crypto firms operate without the usual licenses, as well as reforms that make it harder to sue Florida's businesses. And that's
why they all moved to Miami, so they can get away with corruption and taking advantage of people. I'm not surprised by this, bro.
You see offices from the likes of Citadel, one of the biggest hedge funds on the planet, and Blackstone, who are buying up properties all across the world, as well as Goldman Sachs, Starwood, and so many others.
Not surprised
Sam
by
Bankman-Fried's platform FTX opened up an office here before it imploded, and he was sentenced to 25 years and ordered to forfeit an astonishing $11 billion. The very factors that made Miami a destination for cartel money are now being marketed to Fortune 500 companies as the top reason to relocate. As the wealth concentration snowballs, the gap between the richest and the poorest has widened to a gaping chasm, even by American standards. The bottom 20% of workers in Miami earn an average of about $10,000 a year. The top 5%...
Beg your pardon? $10,000 a year? How are you gonna live? Especially in Miami, you go get a studio apartment, that shit's $3 a month. You can't even live. You're gonna have to work multiple jobs.
To earn over $500,000. The median net worth for white families in the city is around $107,000. For American-born black families, it's $3,700.
What?
Nearly 1 in 5 people in Miami live below the poverty line, and over the years, thousands of residents.
How do you exist? $3,700 for a how do you eat? That doesn't even make sense.
Relocated to make room for a highway interchange, the poorest parts of the city were displaced into the hills away from the glamorous seafront. We visited one called Overtown, right next to downtown and Brickell, and most who visit Miami for a holiday have never even heard of it. It used to attract some of the biggest names on the jazz and soul circuit, hosting iconic gigs by James Brown, Ella Fitzgerald and Ray Charles. Today, right next to the fancy Brickell and downtown area, it has some of the highest violent crime rates in the entire state.
Not surprised, bro. Crime will increase when poverty is when poverty has proximity to wealth. That is when crime increases. Look at New York. You could walk around one corner, go from being in the hood, and then all of a sudden you're in an ultra wealthy place. Of course. I'm not surprised.
So developing here at noon, a woman in the hospital. She was stabbed several times.
It happened last night in Miami's Overtown neighborhood.
A man is fighting to stay alive in the hospital after a shooting in the Overtown neighborhood of Miami.
Man is fighting to stay alive in the hospital after a shooting in the Overtown neighborhood of Miami.
A third and final boy taken into custody, charged as an adult for his alleged role in the rape of a 12-year-old girl in an Overtown community garden last June.
We literally tried to film there and got threatened and had to leave.
Oh, we're just doing like, because we're from Europe, we're just filming like...
Nah, not over here.
Alright, yeah, we'll get out of here. Alright.
Damn, they got punked that easily?
Another of Miami's most notorious districts is Liberty City. People often assume Liberty City from GTA's
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
based on it, but that's purely a coincidence. While Liberty City has cleaned itself up over recent years, it's a former drug trafficking hotspot and its violent crime rate remains more than double the national average. An OG former shot caller who grew up during the cartel era and served 21 years in prison described what this world looked like from the inside.
I'm born into the game out of violence. That's the first language in Miami, violence.
If Miami homicide saw that it was over some drugs, they would say, just chalk it up.
Let's
let's move on.
Part of the walk, because it was going on so much,
people dying every day.
Miami's intense wealth segregation, with the rich on the seafront and the poor in the inner city, might actually one day be an ironic twist of fate. Because the city itself sits on a gigantic base of porous limestone, meaning the ground beneath it works like a sponge. You can't build a seawall against it because the water percolates through the rock itself. In Miami, sea levels have risen about 6 inches in places since 2000, and the city's average elevation is 6 feet. There's a time of year called king tide when the tides are at their highest and water spills through the streets. It's not really what you envision when you think of Miami. The inland neighborhoods on the higher ground that don't flood are where the poor were pushed to by decades of development. But now that the expensive parts of the city are starting to quite literally go under, the high ground is suddenly very valuable. So they're doing everything they can to buy it.
To price all the people out. You go in there, you buy all the houses, you significantly raise the prices, and then that in turn will increase the prices of all the people who are there, and then they price them out and then buy up the cribs. That's what they're gonna fucking do. That's crazy. Man, I'm not gonna lie. I told you, it's that proximity, bro. When there's poverty right next to affluence, it's always gonna be high crime rates, man. And I think, a lot of people look at like LA as what America, people look at LA as like the future of what America's gonna be like. I think Miami is low-key going to be the future of what America is going to be like, where the wealth disparity is just so high. We're going to be living in cyberpunk 2077, where the city is going to look so fire. It's going to be billboards and late stage capitalism. But man, it is going to be a grind just to be able to survive. You're going to have to fight for your life. It's literally going to be like cyberpunk, literally.
And eventually,
you're gonna have to make a name for yourself in the city.
It'll just be another wave after wave of gentrification like Miami has already seen in places like Wynwood, a place that was once the ghetto like Overtown just a few years ago. That has become yet another place for endless condos and
so where do people go? They just get displaced, and what do they do?
Fees. And the risk here really is imminent, and yet nobody wants to talk about it. In June 2021, a 12-story beachfront condo in Surfside, a suburb just north of Miami Beach, collapsed in the middle of the night and killed 98 people. Investigations found the building had been structurally deteriorating for years while maintenance was repeatedly deferred. Since then, Florida's homeowner insurance costs have roughly tripled to an average of $6,000 a year, more than 3 times the national average.
Dude,
and
that's
insurers
insane.
have started pulling out of the state altogether. But the construction never slows down.
I'll be damned if I'm living in a house and this shit just falls on me. I'm suing. I'm getting money. If I live, that's probably like one of my worst fears. Imagine you go to sleep and your whole house just falls on you,
Cranes
bro.
all over the downtown area, and almost all of them are being operated by people who live in the neighborhoods we just walked through, miles inland from the buildings they're putting up. At over 60%, the majority of the construction workforce here was born outside the US.
Makes
by
sense.
far the highest percentage of any metropolitan area in the US.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of, isn't it a lot of like Cubans, a lot of Haitians, probably a lot of Jamaicans, a lot of Caribbean people for sure, right?
And meeting demand amid the influx of millionaires from around the world is grueling work. The local newspaper, the Miami Herald, spoke to a group of them about working conditions last year. A 64-year-old Colombian painter described spending 20 years on scaffolding in dangerous heat without a harness, where he'd actually lost 2 colleagues to fatal falls.
Man.
Workers then described routine wage theft, with contract.
Here we go. Yup, this shit sounds just like Dubai. Miami is the next Dubai, bro. You're gonna have a bunch of indentured servants working, barely getting paid, bro. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, you know, you have like the satellite where it's like a bunch of people who are going to be just barely living by. They're going to be living in like shitholes, and then the ultra rich are just going to be living in this like fantasy land.
Just owing them thousands
what it
and
is.
simply refusing to pay. And Florida doesn't even have a state agency to handle this.
Wage theft costs Americans more than any other type of theft.
Because Florida has no state agency handling unpaid wages, you can fight your case in civil court.
So if you're owed money, your only option is to take your employer to court yourself.
So my family here was affected, my family back in Guatemala was affected, and they would ask why I couldn't send money and why at the time.
Hold on, if you're I'll be damned. You bust your ass, you don't even get fucking paid? I didn't mean to press the explosion. Whoa. And you just gotta charge it to the game. Man, I'll leave Miami.
We couldn't make ends meet. He's laughing in the face of authority. He's laughing in the face of law.
It is in many respects the US equivalent of the Dubai employment model.
Soulless,
with one redeeming caveat.
Most of those people are like, they're like one step away from being a slave. They work them to death, horrible conditions. They barely live, they don't live nowhere nice. That shit is horrible.
So that in Miami, you can technically leave your job and nobody confiscates your passport at least. But being an undocumented migrant means you can't complain without risking deportation. And every contractor in this city knows that. So the end result of indentured servitude is pretty consistent. We notice—
I think we live in like modern day serfdom. I really do think that we live in that shit, man. Look at this, bro. This is literally what it is, bro. You got the monarchs, the nobles, the knights, the peasants, and the serfs. If you live in Miami and you're one of those people that's dealing, you know, like you the undocumented and shit, bro, you a serf. Shit's horrible. And then all the regular working class people, they're fucking peasants.
Just how the city has adapted to its large migrant population, given that even adverts are completely in Spanish with no English translation. When it's time to walk away from Miami, you leave with an image of a gleaming city built on imported labor, where people live in conditions visitors will never see.
I love how they're making GTA 6 out of Miami, bro. Because it's a lot more that meets the eye, bro.
Marketed as the future and sinking into the ground while everyone pretends that day will never come. And that's the very thing about Miami that makes it different from anywhere else. It's not fair to say that it's failing. It's seemingly very clean, very safe, and well organized. It's not completely falling apart at the seams like places like Los Angeles. And it's not really a stereotypical dystopian vision. It bucks the trend of what we might imagine one to be. It's a vision that's slowly sneaking up on us. It's a vision of intoxicating excess that cannot be sustained. There's no rubble, no air raid sirens, no brutal executions in broad daylight. Miami's version is just softer, wrapped in sunshine and palm trees, and a very convincing pitch that this is what winning looks like. And that pitch is spreading. Every major American city is trying to become like this right now. They're offering tax incentives and asking AI companies to come in and build massive data centers next to people's houses. They're deregulating to pump more and more money into local economies, but it ultimately lines the pockets of a few. Cities all over the world are destroying themselves in pursuit of what politicians call progress, but is really just survival. But in my—
Damn. Yeah. That's exactly it. I said that. I think Miami is going to be like how the world is going to be, bro. I think the rich are going to get richer, the poor are going to get poorer, and it really just comes down on us. Like, what are we going to do? What future are we fighting for, bro? Because we don't even got health care. But hey, man, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.